Hi, my name is Kevin. If you're unfamiliar with the ease of use and simplicity of the IBM WebSphere Liberty server, then this short introductory demonstration is a perfect place to start. In only a few minutes, you'll learn how simple it is to get started with this lightweight, nimble, and dynamic runtime environment for your Java-based applications and microservice development needs. To get started, I'm using an integrated development environment such as Eclipse for my Java development needs. The code is simple. It's a JAX-RS REST service that simulates a JSON response of a stock price. What you might notice in the application is that by design, the microservice or application returns a runtime exception approximately 50% of the time. So the purpose of that is to simply introduce a retry annotation from the microprofile open community project as a simple example of implementing a fault-tolerant capability for your microservices architecture. So now that I have the application or my microservice created, I need a WebSphere Liberty runtime to test against. The easiest way to get started is to go to wasdev.net and download this latest stable release of the WebSphere Liberty runtime environment. There's multiple to choose from, but in this example, I'm just going to use the latest release of the Web Profile 7. Download this to my file system, which downloads as a simple zip file, and it's very small, about 40 megabytes. Once the zip file is downloaded, I can just extract the Liberty runtime to a folder on my file system, and I've created a folder called Liberty that I'll just simply extract that runtime environment to. Now, by extracting that to my local file system, I have basically just installed the WebSphere Liberty server. So it's that quick and easy to install WebSphere Liberty. All right, now that I've got the WebSphere Liberty environment installed on my local environment, I know that my application takes advantage of a feature of the microprofile feature set. So what I want to do is just quickly install the microprofile feature on top of my existing WebSphere Liberty environment. So going back to wasdev.net, you can go to the downloads folder and search for the feature that you want, and it gives you the command that you would run in order to install that particular feature on top of your runtime environment. So it takes just a couple of seconds to install the particular feature that I need. Bringing in all of the prerequisite features as well. Okay, so now that I've installed the Liberty Runtime Server and the microprofile feature on top of it, getting started to creating a server from the command line, if you wish, is quite easy. Provide the server command, create, and give it a server name. So just like that, I've created a brand new server of Liberty. I can start the server using a similar command. Using the start command. And Liberty being a lightweight server, it starts in just a few seconds. So up and running is my Liberty server, of course, without my application deployed to it yet. So let me go ahead and stop this for now. And then return back to my integrated development environment, because I've actually installed some WebSphere developer tools in Eclipse that allows me to work with Liberty inside of my development environment. So I can easily take advantage of the fact that I can create a Liberty server or point to an existing Liberty server from my development environment. In this case, it found a standalone server called demo server that I just created. Of course, another way that we could do this is with inside of Docker containers, but this is a different demonstration for a later point in time. So let me just go ahead and create this new server, or point to the existing server that I've created from the command line, and I now have it available for my use inside of my development environment. Now, I mentioned that my application is going to use the microprofile feature, and we installed that feature for the purpose of wanting to use it. The default feature set provided with the server was to use the Web Profile 7, I don't want to do that, so we want to just go ahead and modify this to use the feature set that we want. Using the developer tools, one of the cool things is you can have a graphical editor to modify the server configuration, simply just by adding additional features, removing features. So in this case, I want the microprofile 1.2 feature, and I replace that into my configuration. You also have access to the source code, right? You can use your own favorite editor or what have you to edit this. So for example, I can change the port numbers that I want to use, move away from the default port numbers as an example, and save my configuration. So now I basically have an application that's ready to go. I have a local server that is ready to configured to run my application. Let me go ahead and start the server. And what you notice is I haven't added my application to the server yet, but that's okay, we'll get there. One of the things we've done by adding the micro profile feature is it gives us these additional endpoints. So for example, I can hit the health endpoint and I can see that my server status is up and it's healthy, right? Now quickly from the same server's view in Eclipse, I can add my application that I've developed to the runtime server by simply using the add remove feature. And quickly my Liberty server has been reestablished with my application up and running. So to hit my endpoint, I basically use the stock quote demo context root, passing it in a stock symbol. And what you'll notice is in this application is that sometimes my application runs, sometimes my application returns a runtime exception. Okay? And like I said, that was by design. As I rerun this, sometimes it works and sometimes it fails. I did that for the purpose of introducing some of the capabilities of developing using the microprofile feature set for Java. One of the things I wanted to just quickly show, this is not an in-depth sort of demo on microprofile, but one of the things I can do is I can say I'd like to be able to retry the invocation of the service in the event of a runtime exception, for example, and in this case I want to retry up to 4 times. You can do additional stuff using these capabilities to say I would like to, after some number of times of retries, and if it doesn't work, I'd like to fall back to invoking another service, for example. Right? So a lot of things you can do using the fault tolerance capabilities in microprofile. So now that I've made that quick change in my application, I go back to run my code from the browser. What we should see is that my application won't fail anymore, or at least won't return an error back to the user. Instead, what he's doing is returning with a stock price, and then I'm given the number of retries, right? So sometimes it's going to take 1 or 2 times in order for this to actually work, as opposed to it running the first time every time. Thanks for joining.